My name is Appon Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. We are between the headlines. We are focusing today on the elections in Liberia. Once again, welcome to Focus on Liberia, where we promote, we educate, and elevate everything Liberia. Today we have some guests here, some of our usual corporates. And I will give them some time to introduce themselves. We'll start with they say ladies first, right?
Yeah, of course. I think everyone pretty much knows me. I'm Cuffy, and I am the host of the Liberia History Channel. I have my relevance to Liberia is that I served in the Sirleaf administration in a number of roles related to transportation and land. I also worked with UNDP, helped establish the foundation for what became the Land Authority in Liberia. And I like to call myself a disgruntled and disgruntled and alienated unity partisan.
Oh boy, disgruntled
and alienated.
I thought that disgruntled belonged to CDC. Disgruntled.
Oh.
Because we have three types of sedition.
All of us have reasons.
Die-hard sedition, disgruntled sedition, and repentant sedition.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes, thank you. You have a lot of relevance to Liberia, Call. Ja.
Thank you.
My name is Ja Blamo. I'm basically a community activist, a writer. I began my career as a Secretary General in Buchanan for Power Backup Matthew Party. I was a director in the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, Bureau of Social Welfare. I'm chairperson of the Athena International, which is a citizen-based organization. I'm president of the Grand Crew Association in Delaware Valley. And I've been following the election very closely. I wrote a lot of things that became a topic for citizen consumption, that some of these things that you guys have been talking about. So I'm happy to always be here to make a contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Michael.
Well, my name is Michael Padmore. I'm a Liberian. And I don't have all those those glitters on my resume. I'm just a Liberian looking to make a better change for my country that I'm exiled from right now. So there you go.
Well, I share the same sentiment with Michael. Again, my name is Alex Cuffy, and I'm looking forward to a Liberia where we create an enabling environment for everybody to thrive. And whether you're living in the diaspora, whether you're living somewhere in the sub-region in Africa, wherever you are, whether you're living in Liberia, so that the grumpy seller can gravitate towards getting a wheelbarrow, getting a shop, and getting a store tomorrow. And so I'm looking forward to a Liberia where we will all thrive. And again, so today we have elections in Liberia going on. The presidential election ended, and the results are pouring in. The National Election Commission has been announcing results. Today was day 6, and we have about 92.82 polling places completed across the country. And right now we have Joseph Nyimabwaka of the Unity Party and Josh Weah of the CDC, Congress for the Coalition for Democratic Change, going neck to neck, where JMB, as we call him, has 43.7%, and Josh Weah has 43.65%, a very slim margin, 0.05 margin. So today we are going to discuss the results. We're going to talk about, the first thing we're going to talk about is the credibility of the numbers that NEC is putting out. Are those numbers believable or they are believable? We'll also look at what do the numbers mean? Are we really heading to a runoff, or can somebody pull it off in this first round? We'll also look at reaction from political parties and their supporters. I know the Unity Party, through just Josiah Jokai wrote a piece on Facebook. We'll also look at that. We'll also look at other analysts who have written, the CPP also through their press release and the press conferences and supporters posting. We'll also look at the Appleton effect. Why is he getting those numbers? And then we'll try to draw a parallel, whether there's a parallel between Alexander Cummings, who is a presidential candidate, and drawing a parallel with Alex Gonti, who is the vice presidential candidate. We'll try to do that, and whether there's some swap between Joe Boakai. And then also we'll look at whether Mr. Appleton is being favored by positioning on the ballot paper. So those are the things we'll look at. And whilst we are at that, I would like to welcome Mohammed Sharif. Mohammed, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alex. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Yes, your man Dennis put me in the hot seat to host this program, and he didn't.
You can do it. You can do it.
The guy,
if anybody can do it, you can.
He just shoved it down my throat, so I'll try my best. So, on the grand scheme of things, let me start with the general election environment. The 2023, what do you make of this election? What is your gut feelings about this election? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to Liberia? Again, anybody can take a shot at that before we go into the numbers.
Go ahead, Mohammed.
Go.
Mohammed, go ahead.
Okay, so so generally, I want to say, first of all, congratulations to the Liberian people. Coming out in such mass number, right? Relatively speaking, this is a high turnout election, and again, something that we've not talked about a lot, but when we do talk about it, is somewhat skewing in a not so positive direction. And I'm sure the discussion is going to talk about, we're going to talk about that tonight, is the National Election Commission. I watched the election returns in Zimbabwe, right? That was a joke. The National Election Commission of Zimbabwe, you know, members of that commission, most of them were either members of the ruling party or beneficiaries of the ruling party. But you have our election commission, despite everything that's going on, I want to give them some credit. I don't know, but you know, the circumstances required that I do give them some credit. Last time we were talking about even some of us said look they're even chopping up these names. But look, any one of us, if you put any one of us on that, calling those names, we didn't go to school. If we didn't go to school to say those names, it's going to be problematic. So what I'm saying here is that we've even looked at the little things as far as the election commission. Is this a reflection of the will of the Liberian people down to the nitty gritty of how they're calling some of the names? So I want to give them some credit, and I think that under the Constitution, I mean, they the guidelines given them, the deadline they have up to the 25th. I think that they are meeting that deadline. So with that as a backdrop, I just want to say that things are going to go smoothly. I still do believe that the opposition is going to pull this out. Not in the first round. I didn't say in the first round, but this is a very close election. It's going to go back and forth. In the second round, the opposition will be able to pull this out.
Cole, what's your general feelings?
I think that the Liberian people, I agree with Mr. Sharif that they should be applauded. People waiting in line for, I'm hearing, people were in line for 12 to 16 hours and all kinds of, very difficult circumstances just to make sure that they could vote before going about their day. That's beautiful. But I do think that the commissioners and the way that they're conducting themselves is unprofessional in many levels. And I disagree with Mohammed about pronouncing names. There's not 5,000 people on the ballot. One of your responsibilities as being a spokesperson for your country during the time of election is to respect the pronunciation of people's names. They're not Germans. These are Liberians. And even if they did have very difficult consonant-rich names like they do in Germany, our names are much easier to pronounce than European names, much easier. Put some effort towards pronouncing people's names correctly. Practice, ask, how do you say your name? It's just professionalism. And you're reporting as an official record to the country. Those are details you have to pay attention to show that you have respect and regard for the process and the people who are involved. If I were in charge, I'd say that's unacceptable. That's one of the first things I would do is make sure that they're respecting the names of the candidates, the names of the political parties, and making sure that they conduct themselves professionally and with accuracy. Speak clearly and concisely. Do human beings make mistakes? Yes. But when you're government and you're responsible, you have a task as important as protecting the democracy and facilitating the process of democracy. Every detail should be taken extremely seriously. And if you do make a mistake, and it's rare and few and far between, people won't harp on it as much. But you misspeak numbers, you misspeak statistics, you come back the next day and say, oh, the journalist pointed it out, it's tough being up here. Nobody forced you there. You ask for that responsibility. So, I really am extremely disappointed in the lack of professionalism that these people have shown, even the way they're running their website, the way they're presenting information, lots of little ridiculous things that could be easily corrected. Things that don't take a lot of money. Doesn't cost you, thousands of dollars to learn how to say someone's name. Inexcusable stuff. So I just wanted to point that out.
If I may come back real quickly, I'm not here tonight to bash, to do a lot of bashing, right? So I'm here based on my observation. I'm old enough to believe to say to you that in 1985, when those elections were held, across Liberia, this is not how it was conducted. This is not how the election commission conducted itself. Some of you will remember that, there were two different counts. There was one somewhere in Monrovia, central Monrovia. There was one somewhere outside of Monrovia. And the Liberian people got up one morning and Emmett Harmon announced the result. Not in this manner that Davietta Brownland Center is announcing these results. In fact, Mr. Harmon was so giddy and upbeat for the winner, not for the presumed winner, but the eventual winner of the election. And when he reached a certain county, he said, in fact, there was no match for the president in this county, clearly showing the side that Mr. Harmon took in that election. So when I spoke and said, relatively speaking, I'm also speaking against that background, against the background that, what we've seen before and what I've seen in other African countries. Most recently, I talk about Zimbabwe, comparing that to what's unfolding in Liberia right now. It's a far cry from what transpired in Zimbabwe. That was a joke. Lastly, if the opposition feel that this commission was so incompetent, they are in, the legislature. They are majority. They have the opportunity to do all sorts of things to hold the commission accountable. You never heard a lot of these things. And so we're where we are right now. So let's look at this for what it is. And so lastly, on the pronunciation of names, I'm not going to put a lot of stock into to that at the moment. And for the most part, when we talk about pronunciation of names, for the most part, the members of the commission, the majority of the members of the commission are pronouncing these names correctly. There are a few individuals that are not. You can speak to the Liberian society. You can speak to the Liberian educational system. You can speak to a whole host of issues as the reason why these things are happening. And so can these things be corrected now, tonight? No, they can't be corrected tonight. So this is the kind of thing that we think that the new dispensation, that the new Liberia will address, that the new administration in the new Liberia, should be able to address, because I don't think we can do that tonight.
Thank you. So let's look at the numbers. So far, Election Commission is reporting. So if we round it up, it's 92.82 of the polling places. So we left with about 7%, all right, of the polling places to go. Now, and then we have, when we look at the first six candidates, we have Walker topping by 43.7%. We have Weah coming second, 43.65%. We have Edward Appleton coming third with 2.15. We have Lucini Camara coming fourth with 2% round. We have Mr. Cummings, Alexander Cummings, coming 1.59%, coming fifth place, and we have Tiawan Gonglo with 1.49% coming in the sixth place. Now, the question that I want to ask is around the credibility of the numbers. Are these numbers believable or not? What do the numbers mean? And if we are heading to a second round or runoff, or if somebody's going to pull it off? I would like for Mr. Blamo to take this one.
Well, first of all, I believe that when you talk about the credibility of the election commission, we talk about the whole number thing. We talk about the rules. We talk about and their schedule. and their performance. So coming from a war, elections always come with unique challenges. If you look at Africa, if you look at Mugabe who was elected since 1980, and if you look at Equatorial Guinea, Theodore, this 72-year-old man changed his constitution 3 times, 1982, 1991, 2011, just to run. If you look at Angola, the Santos, this Angola person was in power for almost 20 years. You look at Paul Biya of Cameroon. Then you look at Liberia, you look at Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. She turned over the government. There was a transition from a sitting president to an elected president. So we have to give our election commission and the citizens some credit. And our elections fail to reach 100% standards. But we also got to look at the growth of the country. We got to look at and the election, the level of the people politically, because in elections there are 3 stages. You got the pre-election, which we go with the education of the citizens, the election, and the after election. And the competitiveness of this election cannot be denied. There was a sitting president that was challenged in a serious way. It was a highly competitive election. There were strong partisan differences. And then you got to look at our weak institutions, all that play a part in what we're getting today. At this point, I think we have done well. I don't have enough to conclude that there is some credibility issue that will affect the actual election results. I think there are errors, but it's not sufficient to impact a switch from a Wia to a Bwaka or a Bwaka to a Wia or to Gongo. So I think those errors are not sufficient. And I don't believe that anybody will win the election, because when you have 20 candidates, and if the CPP has succeeded in coming with one opposition, this will have been a first round. But as long as you got people and taking off 10% of the vote, 20% of the vote, whether you call it 1 or 2%, they are still eating the votes. And if you look at it now, those that stand for George Weah are almost like in America what we call the Republican Party vote. They are dedicated. They have heard all the criticism and they still standing with Weah. So he has a stable number. All the opposition are stealing from Joe Bwaka, because they are depriving Joe Bwaka of being a serious contender. George Weah has now lost sufficient of his votes. He has some people discouraged, but he has a standing voting numbers. And he will stand in the second round if required, if he doesn't win in the first round. But the opposition didn't do justice to themselves by coming up with 16 people that they want to divide the votes with. And that tells you something about our commitment. For example, we're talking about election commission having problems. And my man Selim talk about 1985 or do election. Do you know how many years from 1980, 85 to now? We have had election every time there's election, our legislative branch of government that is composed of opposition figures who should call for a good review of this election and pass the appropriate law or amend the constitution to create a more balanced election framework. They go to sleep. So to stay at this point now to say that the election commission is not structured properly or there are errors, I think it's a nationwide problem. And we have what we have. That's my view.
So I hear Mr. Blamo saying that there may be some errors here and there, but in his belief, in his opinion, the election numbers are credible.
Yes.
Padmo, what says you?
Thank you so much. What I will say is that I have not seen anything to tell me that they're not credible, which is the way I choose to approach it. Are they surprising? Yes, they are surprising. There were a lot of other parties, including the CPP, will do a lot better. So the numbers are surprising, but I have not been able to tell me that those numbers are not credible. Um, what it speaks out to is that as a young kid growing up in Liberia, when it came to whatever was 1980 and the change thereof, one of the things that were always thrown out there was multi-party democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think these elections were multi-party democracy. When you look at these elections, it looked like two parties right now in Liberia. America has a multi-party democracy. There are many people, many parties that register to partake in the American elections, but you only hear about two, and only two matter. And it seems like that is the trend of Liberia right now. Two parties matter in Liberia, and the rest, everybody else fall below 3%. So I mean, it's just something that I noticed, But when it comes to the numbers, no, for me, I haven't seen anything that would show that they're not credible.
Okay. Thank you for those views. Is anybody between Kwawu and Mohammed, do you have a contrary view regarding the credibility?
I have a couple of things I'd like to address. Firstly, I'm not comparing Liberia to a post-coup d'etat dictatorship or some horrible situation. We've had stability, we've had peace. So I don't really think that, comparing this administration to a junta in 1985 is fair. That's a very low standard of comparison, very low. Zimbabwe has an outrageous dictatorship. It has not been in office longer than we've been alive, as the people, say. So that's I mean, these or Cold War era relics of Africa cannot be compared to a George W. administration. So when I criticize the professionalism of the National Election Commission, I'm talking about in the context of Liberia and the reality of Liberia. They could do better. We have more invalid votes, over 100,000. That's more than the population. I mean, that's about the population of Sino County, more than the population of Bopuru. I mean, twice the population of Grand Cru voted, and the votes are not counted. They were invalid. That's incompetence on the part of NEC. Either there's an error in the way that they designed the ballot, or they failed to educate the population. That's a responsibility of the government. Political parties can be involved in voter education, civil society, but ultimately the constitutional burden falls on the government to do these things. And they failed, because that's a huge percentage. Like 7 point, almost 8% of the votes are invalid. That's a ridiculous amount. It's unacceptable. Nobody's talking about that. So, and as far as the two political parties, Michael, I think that, we have to remember that people register for political parties. There are card-carrying members of the CDC. There are card-carrying members of the Unity Party. People register for political parties, especially when those political parties take power. And all of these market women that you see, these pimpin' boys, the people you see at Plank Factory, the people you see in the interior on the farms, working on some of these mining companies, all of these people, a majority of our population has registered with a political party. And I think people often overlook that. These are institutions that are national. So to get people to leave their political party to go vote elsewhere, especially when it comes to presidency, which is very different, but is difficult. And the other thing is Unity Party and CDC are actually collaborations. They're coalitions and collaborations. You know, Unity Party swallowed two other political parties in 2011. So these are institutions that have grown, that have become national, that have card-carrying members. Some are generational members, legacy members. I'm a legacy member of LAP, which became part of UP. You know, so this is what it is. Even though I'm disgruntled and not very happy with my party and the way it conducted itself, you know, for the last few years, the fact of the matter is, this is a legacy. And we have to remember that, you know, CDC is younger than Unity Party, but they've got a celebrity, you know, for the head, for the standard bearer. For Unity Party, you're talking about LAP, going back to 1984, 85. Like we're an action party and all of these things. Edward Kessley, Jackson Fiado, these are people these are giants of political thought. And they have a legacy that they have passed on to my generation. You know, so it's not just people fly by night. Oh, and it really, the party isn't really about boycott. It's about something else. So that's all I wanted to really say. I wanted to just point those things out.
I think that
Alex, if I just come in again, you know, if we don't compare, then we're not going to be able to better access what is going on. So there is nothing wrong with comparing situations. There's nothing wrong with looking back at the military junta and what, you know, we went through.
But why don't you just compare it to 2017?
Excuse me. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, also, you know, call work with the government of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So when Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was elected, I mean, I'm willing to listen now. What was the performance of the election commission then? You know, it's easy. It's very easy. And, you know, I get criticized for that a lot. It's very easy to criticize. It's very easy to pounce on. But what was the performance of the previous election commission? We're talking about pronunciation of names, which is important in the grand scheme of things. Can we point to areas that are important? Is that going to now compromise? Excuse me. Is that going to compromise? Is that going to compromise the election? Right? You asked a question, Alex. You're asking for raw numbers right now, but yet we're still going back to compare the, you know, to say that, you know, Zimbabwe and all these other countries, you know, military junta and all of that. Listen, I'm not interested. I didn't come on here tonight, Alex, to, you know, compare this election commission to the military junta, to Emmett Harmon, who did terrible things to the Liberian nation state. I didn't come on here for that. So what we're doing now is we're looking at numbers. We're looking at these numbers. You know, you asked the question, does the number reflect?
Mohammed, if I may ask you a question, what is your view about the credibility of the results, that the numbers that NEC is putting out in this 2023 elections? I'm not talking about Zimbabwe elections. I'm not talking about Election Commission of Liberia 12 years ago. I'm talking about today, now.
What is the credibility of the number that is being produced? So I have yet to see, you know, I'm not going to sit here and conjecture that, you know, there's massive fraud going on. We have said that, you know, we looked at in our own analysis, one of our shows, we looked at, you know, someone actually told us, you know, why are you guys talking about crowd sizes? And we said, we're not talking. And he said, the brother said, why aren't you guys talking about the economy and all of these different things that are going on? And we told the brother that we are not here to relitigate whether, you know, Jeremiah Kahn or Cone should have been picked. We're not here to relitigate whether Prince Johnson whether they should collaborate with Prince Johnson. That's not what we're relitigating. The issue that we were talking about then is that based on turnout, based on the number of people, based on people that we talk to on the ground, there seems to be a shift now towards Joseph Boakai. And George Weah didn't pick that up. George Weah was dancing around. He didn't take Joseph Boakai seriously at the very end, in the closing hours of the campaign. And I predicted that, the opposition will pull ahead, and this is going to be a slim margin, likely going into the second round. Nothing has changed that. And that's where I stand now. These things are fluid, day by day. Maybe tomorrow there's going to be something that's going to change that perspective. But for now, I want to stay in that lane, and the thought that I developed for several weeks now.
So
Yeah,
what I'm hearing is largely from this panel is largely the election numbers and everything that's going on, even though, there's some little issues here and there, but that's why I said largely the numbers that are coming out, the results that are being announced are largely credible. And also the belief is the opinion is that we're going into a runoff and nobody can pull this thing out. Now, let me come to reaction from political parties and their supporters. We've heard different things. We've had different people write. My own friend, Vita Ishman, too, also, as he usually does, he does this analysis he provides me. He's done his own analysis. We've also seen our political analyst on the FOL show, Focus on Liberia, our political analyst, who is, of course, a JNB supporter, Josiah Jokai, also wrote a piece, and would delve into that. But the reaction from different parties, there's a reaction from Unity Party about their numbers, about the way the carbon, because they're using carbon sheet to write out the tally sheets. So there's a twisting effect on the tally sheet where somehow it's benefiting Edward Appleton because he's number one and he's next to he's first on the list and Joseph Walker is next to him. So the possibility of the sheet shifting and Joseph Walker's number, Appleton's number getting in the blank space and just Mr. Walker's number getting Mr. Appleton's space is highly likely, and the NEC playing either deliberate or a willful blindness on that issue. So there is also the reaction, the collaborating the CPP through its press release, stating that most of their supporters are complaining that where they voted in the numbers is reporting zeros and low numbers. So let's look at those things. Let's look at the reaction. How do you juxtapose the reaction? I will start with Mr. Patmore.
Well, we've heard a lot of conspiracy theories. One is that the election commission is stealing Cummings' numbers and giving it to Appleton. Another one is that Appleton and where he's positioned and his vice president's his vice president number is so close to Alexander Cummings, so there was an error. And so we've heard a lot of conspiracy theories, none of which has any level of believability. They're just all out there excuses. Now I see there as the numbers between Boyka and Weah get closer, I see people now talking about, oh no, maybe it wasn't Alexander Cummings' number maybe it was Boyka's number that was changed and given to Appleton, somebody that most people had not heard about before the results started to be announced. I haven't heard anything credible, and because I haven't heard anything credible, I don't want to feed into it. So at this point, what I would say is the numbers are close, less than %. For me, I think that should trigger a recount, so we know. That's just my point of view. And maybe during those recounts, we will discover something else. But besides that, no, I will remain, as I've said, that I don't think there's anything credible to it. I think people voted on the way they wanted to vote. It was a 2-horse race from a month ago. We realized that. And some people just wanted to bypass that whole second round team. That, you know what, even though I'm for this party, but I'm voting for this person because these are the only 2 people that matter. That's my observation.
Mr. Blamo, what would you say specifically about the Unity Party's reaction?
I think,
for example, we saw there was a press conference held by Unity Party where the blue bag phenomenon came into play, and it became a big joke on Facebook. And I also wrote something about it that jokingly saying that Mr. Darrell did not cause blue plastic bag to finish on the market in Monrovia. So, what do you say about the whole Unity Party situation?
I think Unity Party is on a mission. Unity Party has skepticism about the election, before the election, during the election, and after the election. And it reminds me of Donald Trump syndrome, where Trump believed and told his supporters that they will win the election no matter what. So even after they actually didn't win, the supporters couldn't believe it. And today, there are still some people who believe Donald Trump won that election, even though they were forced. Then you go back to the George Bush and Al Gore election in Florida, when they had all those mixed ballots. And the Supreme Court had to intervene and say George Bush won the election. So Liberians got to be very careful, because we are on a mission, and the citizens themselves, the deteriorating social welfare and living standards of the people, in spite of this voting, is undermining their confidence. So everybody have wishful thinking. The thinking is that, well, if Joe Biden wins, he will rescue the whole country. And all of us know that no one man has rescued any country in the world. The only place where one man have all the citizens following them is in China, in Russia, in North Korea.
So, Mr. Blamo, the way our elections work, right?
Yes.
The way our elections work,
yeah,
we go to polling places and cast the ballot, and it's placed in the ballot box. And at the end of the poll closing at different places, different times, once the poll closes, they count the ballots one by one and write the results of each candidate on the ballot, the tally sheet, where invalid votes are recognized, and the the number of people who voted is recognized on the tally sheet. So each person has their number as per the count. It is that tally sheet that they take and put on the board, and everybody take a picture of it.
Yeah, but that is wishful thinking.
Hold on.
Okay.
That's what people take to send to the different war room, quote unquote,
yeah,
war room. And even the press take that to announce what we will call in America, what we call the exit polls. That's how I will call it. Now, United Party say, and like any other party, say they have their tally sheets. They have all the tally sheets, and they've done their calculation. And based on their calculation, that's based upon that they're having a press conference. And today, they thought that they were going to win. They were saying that they were going to win the election, but now today we're seeing what we're seeing, the 43.7%, and that's almost likely that it's going to go for second round. So,
yeah, but
what do you say about that play?
My point is, it's all a strategy from the very beginning.
Okay.
Darrell Dillon has a plastic bag that is no way it can hold all the tally sheet, the plastic bag that you display. There's just no way it could fit in that van. They already had a strategy, and the strategy was they were trying to make enough noise with the belief that they will frighten anybody who's trying to cheat. So each person is pronouncing that we won, and there's no genuineness in those strategies. They are all political strategies.
That's a preemptive strike.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's strike, just like Donald Trump did. And my second point is the election laws have all these processes set in place. It's based on an educated citizenry that people know what they're doing, and the structure is set.
Mm-hmm.
We can guarantee any of those in the Liberian election, and so we can say that because you collected some sheets and she told you this is the count, it means when they actually go for the election, that those numbers will be correct, because there are ballots that are discarded, about 7%. So when you counting your ballot, you are counting what you think is George Weah ballot or Joe Barker ballot, but you're not taking into consideration the legal aspect of voting, and whether that's a real vote or ballot, because a ballot can be discarded if it doesn't meet the standards. So they are not taking that into consideration. They are just counting pieces of paper, and the paper they show us is not enough for all the polling stations in the country.
Okay, so one will argue that the plastic bag just contains a sample.
It's sample. That's what it contains.
So the one could say that, but let me look at the CPP's press conference. I mean, their press release and some of the things they've said, and let me put this one on Kawu's lap. What I heard when I read the CPP's press release and some of the things they're saying is like, unlike the United Party that came up with a press conference and show a sample of tally sheets, CPP is saying, hey, our people are saying, our voters are saying, a large chunk of them. In fact, I heard somebody say where Mr. Cummings voted, he took 20 people went with him and they voted, and that place is zero and things like that. So how do you speak to that?
I mean, we've talked about this on previous discussions on here, but people have to present evidence, and the reason people were suspicious before the election is because NEC violated the law and didn't release the sample ballots as they're required to. Mm-hmm. So to just sit and act like people are just paranoid for no reason, I think it's just not, it's not fair to our process. We have laws, and if any government entity is violating those laws, those things need to be called out. The legislature is required to have a census beforehand, and we all know the census was botched in so many ways. There's a lot of laws that are supposed to be followed leading up to the election that were violated. So I respectfully disagree, Mr. Blamo. This is not all paranoia. People had a reason to question and confront, legitimate issues before the election because laws were violated. As far as rumors, I have not seen any officials from ANC come out and make any official statements. So I'm not really qualified to speak on your question, Alex. But what I will speak to is the shifting of the ballots and the numbers being ascribed to the person above. So the carbon sheets, I did see, I think, 2 different carbon sheets, carbon copies where on the pink copy, the votes for Boykai were shifted up, and the votes for Weah were also shifted up to the 13th candidate, which I think is, what is that, Moniba? So if that were the case, Weah's votes would be going to Moniba, and Moniba on some ballots would have been getting a lot of votes, just like I'm sorry, someone's calling me. I don't know if I'm breaking up, but so my point here is that shift would have also affected Moniba the same way it would have affected Appleton. So if you know, because it's not shifting up just one section, everything on the tally sheet moved up. So Moniba was getting Wia's votes and Appleton was getting Boykai's votes. And so my just, you know, looking at the percentages that we and Boykai are legitimately pulling, if that was an effect, Moniba would also be getting an outrageously large number of votes in comparison. And I didn't see that. But
Yeah, what the Unity Party people are saying is that the election commission folks may have been deliberate just on the first two positions, and they actually position the other one. That's what they're saying.
I mean, if that, yeah, for me, the ones what I saw evidence of is what I'm speaking to.
Okay.
And I did see two different sheets where there was a shift on the carbon copies, just probably because they were not aligned properly. Who knows where they got those ballots from? You know, some kind of, you know, who knows who printed them and made that error where the carbonated sheets are not perfectly aligned with the top sheet, which is absolutely wrong. It should never be that way. But that I did see two carbonated sheets that were not aligned properly. But again, everybody's votes were shifted up. The invalid votes for me is of greater concern. The number, what is a normal percentage on the African continent, is somewhere around 3.5% to 4% is normal on the African continent for invalid votes. I looked this stuff up, and we're closer to 6%.
Yeah,
that's a problem, especially with a country with such a small population. It should be much easier to manage than that. And our ballots, I think, are relatively simple. So somebody needs to look at those invalid votes. And the last thing I want to point out too, that's leading to some suspicion. In the past, when NEC puts numbers up for each precinct, you can go in and you can click and see a copy of the tally sheet from that precinct. You've been able to do that on the NEC website in the past. It's no longer available. It's not an option now. So you can't go in, look at the numbers on the precinct, click and be able to see the tally sheet. What you see is a typed out PDF instead of the actual tally sheet record, which is a shift from what NEC has been doing in the past, and that's concerning. Because
let's look at the Appleton effect, as we call it, right? We have, and I'll put this one on Mohammed's lap. We have a situation where we have some strange things happening in the elections, right? Appleton coming second place, Lucini Camara, Cummings coming. I mean, which is the biggest surprise, you know. And Gonglo, we expect that Gonglo would have gotten maybe, you know, decent percentage of this vote, but it is not playing that way. So, and we just term it Appleton effect. So, Mohammed, how do you speak to this whole positioning, the percentages that are coming out of this election?
Yeah, everything that Cole said there is right on point. One of the things that she keeps coming back to is this invalid vote. You know, this is too high. That is something that's very concerning to me. One of the things that we've not even talked about is the fact that, you know, the opposition was the Southeast, where George Weah is polling large numbers, was inaccessible to the opposition. I've talked about this before. This is by design. You can't, you know, they need to, the roads, you know, the country is a muddy mess. The Southeast is inaccessible. So the opposition was not able to get to the Southeast. They weren't able to get to Greenville, you know, or Harper. I know that Tiawan Gonglo, traveled the length and breadth of this country. But look at how he did it. I mean, this is not a way, you know, you're conducting a major election here. And, you know, you have half of your opponents can't even travel to a certain part of the country. So therefore,
but I mean, Mohammed, I will hold you there because I will hold you there on that one, because I see Appleton is getting he's taking third place in Sino, River G, Grand G, and Grand Cru, and Grand G. So how is he getting those votes?
He didn't go there, right?
He didn't even go there. So This is one of the.
Well, you don't know. Maybe the guy ran a Jehovah's Witness door to door. You don't know.
You know,
So why is Cummings not getting the vote? Why is Walker not getting the vote that he should have been getting? Yeah, he's getting percentage more than Appleton, but Appleton is a phenomenon here.
When the history of this particular election is written, one of the things mystery that's going to be discussed perhaps for a very long time is the Appleton effect, the Appleton numbers and stuff like that, and so this requires some level of in-depth investigation and analysis to find out where was he. I call him on the last show, and guys were laughing. I call him the political neophyte, an unknown who just all of a sudden is getting these numbers from counties that he did not even probably campaign in, but yet no one else is getting those same numbers. But the serious issue about the Southeast. So right now, and I'm going to come back to your question. So if Walker was able to somehow erode George Ware's heavy margin in Maryland County, in Grand Jetta County, those two counties alone probably, we will be talking about first round victory right now. But George Ware is pulling so much numbers in Grand Jetta. I'm not saying that Boakai can win Grand Jetta, but the largest city in Grand Jetta is Zoedru. Zoedru is very diverse. People in Zoedru don't think one way. So there was an opportunity there for maybe the Boakai campaign to go there and campaign, and he would have gotten a large number, I would think, to be able to erode George Ware's heavy margin in Grand Jetta County. But that didn't happen because there were all kinds of logistical issues in the lead up to the election, and I think that the administration was not interested in really doing anything about the rural conditions. So if I was in the Senate or maybe House of Representatives, if I was a legislator, that's the kind of thing that I will go after the administration about, because we're coming up to a critical election and you have to make sure that the playing field is level. So to me, in the Southeast, the playing field was not level for the opposition. The opportunity failure, talk about this is something that we have to analyze, and the CPP is complaining about that fact, the fact that they're not polling, the fact that Appleton is the one probably taking votes away from them. That's what they're saying, but they're not presenting us with any facts. So the press release did not contain any numbers at all. So it's hard to discuss their press release because they don't have any numbers to support their claim.
Well, I think that Mr. Mohammed is just giving us conflicting information. He say it's designed, the role, it was a design by the administration to keep the opposition out. I don't know where he got that from. And the Appleton effect.
Why is the rule not fixed?
The same reason why when you are in early government, the role is not fixed.
I was not,
for
sir.
12 years.
Check
well,
I didn't work
in
Ellen Johnson, so
you work with her son. Okay, let's get back to
the. Where is he getting these? Where is he getting his stories from, Mr. Blamo? Please. Please,
all right.
This is
you never did.
So when we're giving out information like this, we have to be very serious. I was not an employee of the government. I didn't work for President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And that being said, I think she did some great things for Liberia.
Okay, so you didn't pressure her to fix the rule. in 12 years.
We will be taking a break.
Mr. Blamo, where were you, Mr. Blamo? You are Liberian just
gentlemen.
like myself.
No, that's the thing is, your first.
Why do you think nobody? The woman built a lot of roads in her time that she was there. Don't act
But
like she didn't build
why
roads.
did you build that
All
road?
the roads that we're using, said a woman built them and secured
But
money for them.
the president
The
built a lot of
argument about
roads.
road
Ladies
building
and
in
gentlemen.
Liberia.
Ladies
The
and
president
gentlemen,
built a lot of roads. So why did he build that particular road? You see, Salim is politicalizing something that without any basis for it. That they were designed to have the road on left like that, so that opposition can get there, but Appleton could get there. So let's get back to the
Appleton didn't
question.
go there. Let me
You say
say
that.
something really quickly, Mr. Blamo. Just
Yes.
listen to this. Do you know Appleton, not only did Appleton not travel the country, if you go on his website and his Facebook page and his social media presence, he doesn't have more than 300 followers. So, I mean, it's really, if I were an investigator, I would investigate this.
Well,
This man did not go to these counties. There's no record of him being outside of Monrovia, right? And he's getting these large numbers in places of like Nimba where he didn't go. His party didn't go. He had a non-governmental organization that he turned into a political party, and his presence isn't anywhere. You know, and I'm sitting here saying, you know, where are our investigators, our investigative journalists in Liberia? What are they doing?
no.
Because how are you going to have a social media presence and when you make a post, you've got 2 likes in your presidential candidate, but you're able to make significant numbers? It's bizarre.
I'm not going to fault the man for his success.
hold on, Blamo.
Baka didn't go some places, he got voted there.
Hold on, Mr. Blamo.
Yes.
Elvis Morris is saying not true.
Okay.
He's saying what is not true.
Yeah, he's saying not true. Appleton is a gribble man from Maryland.
Yeah.
But he didn't
Okay.
go there to campaign. He didn't go there to campaign. Look, Elvis, let me tell you something. After you to do where you just come on and say things and people really getting your stuff, call in on the show. Let's have a discussion. Because somebody's ethnic group doesn't mean anything. You can't just say Cummings is a gribble man. Don't say because he gribble man, gribble people voted for him. That's not how the world works. He didn't campaign in these places. You go on his website, he doesn't have any gribble people following him. So you want to say
But Baka didn't campaign all over.
what about Nimba, where he got all those votes?
The man got his message.
Y'all come on here to troll sometimes, man.
He got his message.
Blamo, we're talking about the Appleton effect here.
Yeah, but
let's take to the Appleton effect.
Okay, the Appleton effect. Let me just say the one piece. The man was infected. Okay. Okay.
Can you complete?
Okay.
We are responding to Elvis Morris made a statement countering what Kou said. Let's dig deep into it. Right?
Okay. Ever Morris.
So I'll give Kou the chance to come back.
Okay. All right.
Yes, Kou.
Okay. Yeah, so what I was pointing out about Elvis's statement, I think I think Elvis has a nature about himself that he likes to play devil's advocate a lot of times. He knows very well being gribble and having an ethnic background is not enough. And saying that, you know, Appleton's from the southeast, Appleton pulled the majority of his numbers in Nimba. You're not even looking at the numbers. So what are you going to say that he went to Nimba? He didn't go to Nimba, but because he's gribbled, the Nimbayans voted for him. That's not an explanation for what happened to Elvis. It doesn't make any sense. You know, if you don't go somewhere and campaign, I mean, maybe that juju man he's using to confuse the people to vote for him. I don't know. But you're not going to tell me that the man was gribble, so the gribble people in Nimba all got together and voted for him. I mean, what is that? The man, I mean, for me, for all those investigative journalists out there, if you want to make a name for yourself, dig behind this thing and figure out what's going on. Because just a lay person going to his social media presence and realizing he has absolutely no followers, really. You know, I have more followers than he does. I'm not even a politician, wouldn't dream of running for office. So what is going on? Where are these voters coming from? He did not go to most of these places to campaign that he claims that, you know, that he's getting all these votes in. I haven't met a single person who voted for him or even heard of him before the election. I call people back home, you know, hey, show us the tally sheets for he's getting all these votes. Why are they not on NEC's website?
Cole, I think you have a point there, right? You have a point, because the reason why I say you have a point there is this is election. Election is not secret, right? No matter, because you're trying to appeal to the people. No matter how much Jehovah Witness, door-to-door, groundwork, grassroots campaign, there gotta be some presence. There gotta be some social, because everybody, including Joe Boakai, coming everybody had, even in America, in any country, I think in Uganda, the guy the musician or whoever ran, everybody has this social media following and presence. People have 10,000 followers, 20,000 followers. So if nobody saw that, right, during the campaign.
He had 300 and some more followers, and most of those people probably follow him after they saw his name on the ballot, on the NEC website getting votes.
I don't believe that.
To say something.
Yeah, I don't believe that we should pass judgment just based on our opinion. And Joe Boakai created a sea of people in Monrovia in places that he never stepped foot. Appleton is a candidate.
You talking about somebody that was vice president, that people, there's a household name, Mr. Blamo? Come on.
Appleton is a Gribble man. You say it doesn't matter.
Appleton,
how you know
is Appleton, Blamo, or Ja? What are you saying? Is Appleton a native name? How will people know he's Gribble? Are you telling me all the Gribble people across the country voted for him because
I'm telling you, people will vote for friends and relatives, even if they don't go there. I'm telling you, I know a presidential candidate, I won't call his name. We have people running his campaign in Grand Cru while he was in Monrovia. So Appleton,
but why won't you call his name? That's secret?
Because that's not what we're here for.
But why won't you call his name? If you tell him the truth, call his name. I challenge you. I challenge you. What's the secret? What a presidential candidate's name?
You can't dismantle the man's entire campaign just on the opinion.
I can speak to what I observe, and any rational person can follow what I'm saying. I can do whatever I want, Mr. Blamo. I'm a rational human being. I can take information, analyze it, and share my thoughts. I have every right to do so. And my analysis is based on my observation. You don't have to agree with me, but you can't tell me I don't have a right to say it. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree, but it's my observation and it's rational.
You didn't observe the vote of Appleton.
I observed what NEC reported, and I observed his lack of presence on social media. I am questioning him. I have every right to do so as a rational person.
I rest the case, but let me talk about.
You really should rest your case, because you can't tell me how to think and express my thoughts.
Let me talk about the Appleton effect. Yes.
Let's have some order here, okay? But Mr. Blamo, you have a guest. You have a guest comment here in Joseph Ray. And then also Joseph Ray is kind of putting you against Kou here. He says, I would speak to the Kou and say, she says, Joseph Ray says something sinister is going on. Kou is making a lot of sense. And I wouldn't tell the people at control to bring the Joseph Ray comment about you though, but we'll move on. So
let's move on, because Joe Ray. No.
Let's leave it like that. Right, but right now, I mean, we will take a break. And then we come back. After the break, we will come back. We'll be looking at some winning candidates and some losing candidates on the legislative side. So, control, please.
Our Congress! Our country, that God gave all this country. That God gave all this country. We are calling on everyone here to come and pray for this country. La Bira.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. When people are going to stay taking a little long break, I didn't have enough of my water, then the thing came on.
Yes, what a break.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
Thank you, Controls. So, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back again. We'd like to say hello to all our listeners and viewers in viewing and listening land in cyberspace, and those who are in Liberia, and also our people who were making their comments. We have quite a number of people here. We have Evans Morris, who is very active here. We have Emmanuel Saka. We have Christine Z. Napla. We have Larry Kennedy, Siku Soko Kamara, Darling Wildwood, Anna Otimu. She says she was looking forward to seeing Kou, and there she is. Mm-hmm. We have Cole Daniel. We have Alsam Saba. We have Joseph Rare. We have Hamilton. But let me before we start the second segment, let me start with Hamilton Zili. He wrote a comment about the journalist. Control, can you bring? He says, unfortunately, our journalists in Liberia are just joined the list, living in the pocket of the president. All right, I didn't know that part was there, but I just want to link it. I just wanted to link it to what Kou was saying about social media presence, media. I mean, media as a whole, whether it's social media, is newspapers, whatever it is. I just wanted to link that to Hamilton's comment. Not in the president's package side, but I just wanted to link it to that, because if you are in an election, it's a public space. You got to demonstrate that you're campaigning. You got to, people may have different styles. All the other political parties had the Jehovah's Witness, the door-to-door knock, but yet instead they had these things. And one of the things we look at in Liberian politics, also we look at the cry effect as well. So again, Mr. Blamo.
Yes.
What do you say they joined the list?
I think that really the presidential candidates, they fail in message. They have no debate. They have no message. And the general list of candidates also, they fail. There were some people had no message. Some people have message but no reasonable plan. Some people had a plan and message, but they didn't follow through. So that's why you have people like the Appleton effect coming in, and then the limited and voter education that took place, and the level of education of some of our people. So luck play a part in a lot of these things, but our social economic condition is affect our choices. If you look at the elections, if you look at these factors, if you look at the money factor, all these things affected the election. So when you stand for nothing, anything can carry you. If you go into a field and you don't even know what each of these candidates are standing for, and a ballot comes to you and the vice president name is Cummings or Alex, and you just won't recognize Alex, you can cast a vote for Appleton. So all these factors made our election.
So one of our commenters,
Can I ask him a question, please?
Yeah.
Blamo, So
Yeah.
how would an illiterate person recognize ALEX to mean Alex, but won't recognize that the vice president is not a woman, a female candidate? Like, how is that possible?
Very possible.
So
If
you're
you,
saying illiterate people can read names, but they can't recognize faces.
no, I didn't say that. I'm saying
You
the
made a point. I'm just
limitation.
trying to really understand the logic here.
I understand, but the person's limitation can go left or it can go right, and psychologically, the enthusiasm they come with.
I mean, that would make sense, sir, if the pictures were not on the ballots. If the photographs were not there, it would make sense. But you're seeing the pictures and you're saying that they're looking for the word Alex as opposed to recognizing the candidate on the photo.
I think you just take one part of my statement.
That's the part that confused me.
I'm saying some people will not look at pictures. They'll look at the first sign. You'd be surprised someone is memorize something and go into a ballot box and just waiting for the first A, the letter A.
So I will hold you guys there, and I will
Yeah.
I'll send Saba ask a question. He said, "Why are we worried about Appleton?" I will stop there. That's the
Good question.
I will stop there. Why are we worried about Appleton?
Well,
But let us not forget. Let us not forget now. Appleton was also in the presidential debate, even though the leading candidates, the so-called leading candidates, were all not there, but people like Appleton was there. I will ask my brother. You have not spoken for a little while, Michael.
no, that's okay.
You have not spoken for a little while.
But you got to
Lambo, you're not
that.
talking today. Lambo,
Don't
you're
make
not
you fall
talking
asleep
today.
now.
Michael, can you
Yeah, so
can you
so
decipher
here's
this
the
thing for us?
so here's the thing. I mean, look, there are so many scenarios, okay? In all of them, you can be introduced, but we are seeing a trend. Now, if this phenomenon, the Appleton phenomenon, was just maybe in Maryland, but we're seeing this across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Monserrato. I mean, just all over. That says, somebody mentioned about the journalists. I think my letdown of the journalists is that nobody, not one journalist, has gone into one of these precincts and look for voters, for Appleton voters, and interview them. That's it. We're looking for
That's true, Mikey. They're supposed to.
Yeah, none of them have done it. I mean, just phone here and say, but go and see these people. It will really enlighten the conversation, enlighten the belief, But the thing is, somebody said, why are we concerned? Anything that may introduce the hint of fraud in our elections should be discussed, should be investigated. They should be, especially when you have an elections this close. When you have an elections this close, I mean, we are talking about when it's down to the wire. 2-3% right now is huge for anybody. What if like what somebody showed that one instance where the paper was lifted, like moved upward. What if the Republican vote? What if that was supposed to take 51%? So the closer the elections are, all these things matter. And the vote is your vote is your power. That one vote matters. So if you voted and your vote was taken and given to somebody else, it matters. Even if it's just 2%, it still matters. And so we should look into these things. Because today we are talking about 3%. What happens tomorrow if we're talking about 7, 8, 9, 10%? In the same trend. So I think that's where those things become very important. And we should know. We should be able to look back on this and have some sort of plausible explanation of what happened, even if not today, not next month, not in the next 6 months, but that's barely before our next row of elections. We should be able to have some plausible explanation on what happened. What happened to Gonglo? What happened to Cummings? The Appleton effect, all those things. I think they should matter. They should matter to us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Blamo. So I see, Cole, your guy here, Elvis Morris, is very busy trying to make the case for Appleton here. He says, he's talked about Appleton's family are very known people in Maryland. Also, his vice presidential candidate is an Imbayan, so it's a well-known Imbayan. So those are some of the points he's paid. That's why maybe
well known in Atlanta. I mean, what are y'all talking about?
Let's
what is Elvis talking about? Look.
and the guy was present at the debate. So
this man saying some facts.
Let me tell you guys something.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Elvis.
Blamo.
Elvis Morris.
Blamo.
Appleton and his vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Appleton and his vice president may be well known by their classmates, and the vice president might be well known by his friends in Lawrenceville, Georgia, where he lived for his whole adult life. But it does not explain. And I'm not saying that he didn't earn those votes. I just want to know how. Okay? Because there's a political lesson to be learned here. Right? Was this telepathy? He gets a kind of prayer, mother. Let's share the secret, Appleton. We want to know how you managed, to get more votes than Mr. Cummings or Gonglo in certain precincts. We really want to understand this thing. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Appleton didn't get the votes. I just don't understand how. And what he's saying about him being Grable is not enough. Okay, Grable people are educated people. They're not just going to look and say, the person Appleton. I came here to vote for George Weah, or I came here to vote for Cummings, but gosh, I'm a Grable man. I'm going to vote for Appleton. I mean, come on.
Why not?
I don't believe
let's hold it there.
Why not?
Let's hold it there. Blamo,
okay.
I will ask that you respect other people when you're speaking, please.
Okay.
I've been constrained.
I don't mind it.
I will ask you to respect other people when they're speaking. Let's pivot to something else. Let's pivot to some of the winning candidates on the legislative side. We, over the years, we've bashed on our legislature of different things. Different unwholesome things, from 30,000 to huge salaries to manipulating the budget in their favor to corruption to different things that we've heard about the national legislature. And we're yearning for the day we'll have, to a large extent, credible people. Let's hone on the Senate. Yeah, the representative there are a lot of candidates. All of them were up for vote re-election this election. 15 senators were up for grab in each of the counties. We've heard some winning candidates. We've heard about the Amara Kone. We have some Musa Belete, Bill Twawe. We've heard about Nathaniel McGill, as well as we've heard some losing candidates. Mainly coming. We said Vani Sharma, Milton Tieje. I will start with Patmo. Marco.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So first, let me there are different sections. So let me try and compartmentalize it. First, I'll talk about the Bill Twawe and Nathaniel McGill. Very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. We continue to see our people make choices, based on on these, what's the word for it? These people that's tend to provide a certain degree of wealth to, that they try to project a certain degree of wealth, and they try to share among the people, almost like this pseudo Robin Hood, which is very, very vile kind of deal. So we see the Lieutenant McGills and the Bill Torres, and people are voting for them in mass. And you have to ask yourself the question. Where are we headed? Or heroes, if these are our leaders, where are we headed as a people? But at the same time, then you see them vote out, others who have not done well as they were elected. We also see them vote in people who have done well in other sectors, like the Americans, right? And that American will bring sense to the Senate debate. That American will bring a level of integrity to the Senate debate. He's not somebody where you can pass brown paper there to and think that he is going to abandon his principles and his hard-earned reputation for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. That's somebody who has seen real money. Has seen real money before. So he's not going to. So it's a mixture. It's a mixture.
But you say Musa Ability and Tuewe and Matana Magedian see real money before too.
No. Don't worry. They have not seen real money. They had not seen real money. They have never earned real money. Those people never earned.
Yeah.
Money. That's what I said. Seen. So let me clarify that. I mean the people money that passing in front of you and you taking a note. Where you've really earned real money, and you've been entrusted, and you've held your integrity with real money. Don't try to they have not. They have not at all. So you worry about that group, but at the other time, just as your spirits sink with that, then you are lifted up because you see, that another group of Liberians are choosing to, will bring these people in. Hopefully they do better, and so it's a mixture. It's a mixture of emotions on where you're going, and you see a lot of these seditions. Well, we'll get to the representative part, but there are seditions who are retaining their posts. I know somebody was very shocked. Why are some people in the Southeast retaining their posts when look at the road in the Southeast? What is the development in the Southeast? What have these people done for their people that they will be re-elected? So those are the questions that are out there. My input into that is that we still have a lot of challenges for our people, McGills and the Tories, but at the same time we still have we're making progress. That's why you see the Americans of the world.
Do you Michael?
Yes.
Do you think we're going to get a balance? Because you have 15 senators that have been retained. So you have people who have been standing out, the Dillon effect, the Kanga, the Borchas. Now you have the Americans coming in, and things like that. Do you think you will have a balanced Senate this time around?
My knowledge of history of Liberia is that usually after elections, we have a balance of legislators.
Mm-hmm.
Usually immediately after elections, we have a balance. As the years go on, the presidential party, the ruling party, somehow get to attract more people under them. And then they tilt the balance their way. Whether they do it with money, with influence, with committee positions, whatever it is, that usually happens. This time around, I think it is balanced. If I'm not mistaken, out of 15 senators, only 3 are returning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other 12 are brand new. And they're a mixture. Seditions are coming in. Independents. You have a lot of independents coming in. You have You have Momosaurus, from Lofa is coming in. You have American from Papua is coming in. You do not have Vanishemo coming from Kidma anymore coming in. So there's a mixture coming in, and I think they will begin as a balanced group. Where they tilt, I think later on that will be the question, where they tilt. But I do believe they're going to start off as a balanced group. Whoever wins will not have a majority in the legislature. They will not start off with a majority.
Mommy, what's your view on that?
Yeah, so you can look at the defeat of Komini Wisa as a departure chapter that's closed now. Komini Wisa been a part of the Liberian progressive class of the 70s, and so you can look at that as the turning of a new leaf, the turning of the page, for Komini Wisa. That's a big loss there. Milton TJ, personally, I couldn't wait to see him depart the Senate. I mean, you need, you don't need people like that. Amara Kone, this is a big pickup for the Senate. So the Senate as a whole, right? He brings a lot of experience. So this is great for Bapulu County. It brings a lot of experience and creativity, seriousness to that position. And so if in recent times for me, this to me is one of the best people to enter, to be entering the Senate. So everything that Michael said there is on point as far as Mr. Kone is concerned. And so great for the people of Bapulu County. Congratulations to Mr. Kone. You can also look at the House of Representatives. One of the things that's very important here to take note of is the campaign run by Musa Ability, which was a very successful campaign in Nimba County. He has carried out a lot of development in that area, and so I'm sure he continues along that trajectory. So it's a great thing for the people of his district in Nimba County. And so maybe this is now the beginning of good news for the legislature that we've bashed all along, because you have people in the legislature who have not taken their job seriously. So hopefully the new core now will change things around. Then one of the things that I wanted to say finally is that it's very hard to return, right? As a senator, I remember Mabutu Nyepan, very nice guy. He didn't return. He was defeated, but Teja defeated him. So Teja, this is his first term. It's so long. The term of the Liberian Senate is so long that you would think that this is your second term. 9 years is too long. So Teja, this is his first term and he's not returning. So maybe that's something that, that we can also look at a different time. Why is that happening? Why are these guys not able to return? So it's happening frequently now that, especially in the Senate, that they're not able to return after their first term.
Yeah, Tiago was defeated by a guy who was a representative who went on a CDC ticket in China County. Mm-hmm. And also, before I go on to that, there are two comments here from Dalek Warwood and Sam Wallow. Sam Wallow is saying that is on your comment about Amara Kone. He said that is yet to be seen with Kone. His performance as finance minister was stellar. Then Dalek says the likes of McGill, Bill Twawe, and ability won as a result of abject poverty. Our people are kept in poverty and are uninformed by design. All right. Then somebody says, Dalek also said that communist research needed to go. I will leave the other part out. He said communist research needed to go. I wouldn't. It's talk about Asia and other stuff, but Joseph Ure says NEC will cause violence in Liberia. They are bent on rigging the election. We don't know. So let me look at there are two things here. The Senate Pro Tem chair. I think he's retained. What would be the fight with the new Pro Tem? I will go to Ja for this one. I will start with Ja, Mr. Blamo. The fight for, I will call it fight, quote unquote, for Senate Pro Tem in this new Senate.
I think the senators will have to come together, and they will feel each other. I think I want to piggyback to the first question that I think all those people who were elected, including the Magay, I think that's progress for Liberia. We are looking for competition in the Senate. We are looking for diverse opinion. I know we all have our candidates and that of our choices, but for the nationwide, if we have a diverse group of people going in the Senate, is very good. I think the fight for the Senate Pro Tem, it will be surprising because just as we predicted, or we didn't have a good prediction of what was going to happen in this election, somebody new that you least expect will come up. But there will be a seesaw. You got to watch out for Darrell Dillon, because that will be a good position for him. He's already there, and he can create a coalition. So I think it's a fresh ground, and so it's anybody's job. But I think Darrell Dillon will be going out for that position.
What about Yomikanga Lawrence?
Yes.
And she will bow to Darrell. I talk about opinion.
I'll leave with me on that
You have to use the word bow.
Well, she will help him. I think that word back.
A very strange choice of words. Bow.
Yeah.
You switched that.
Yeah, I switched that. Yeah, she will take one for the team and allow him to go.
But hasn't she already taken one for the team? This
conversation going battle, Mikey.
Wasn't that taking one for the team? And a lot of people felt that her acceptance of that was maybe in promise of the Pro Tem position.
No, I don't believe that. They could not have predicted the political landscape at that time. And she made that sacrifice on a different level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Cole, I'm hearing that the current Speaker of the House may have not retained his seat.
Yes.
If that is true, what would be the power play when it comes to the speakership in the new House of Representatives?
Well, I mean, so Buffalo Chambers is one of the most enlightened and educated people that was in the House, believe it or not. I don't like how his political standing and leaning changed over the years. But he's actually extremely, educated gets thrown around so much, but I would even go as far as to say enlightened. He understood the Constitution, understands the Constitution very well. Why he was conducting himself the way he was as Speaker is beyond me, and some of the laws that he allowed to be passed and kind of being like a rubber stamp and all those kinds of things, not standing up to the tyranny of the executive, shocking to me.
Yeah.
But, people get tired and just say, what, easier for us all to just sit here and we'll all just sit here and cut the pie together, maybe, I don't know. But if he is not, I think he is confirmed that he's not returning, it leaves another very brilliant person who's not a very good person to probably take over, which is, Fonati. Councillor Kofa has a Juris Doctorate degree. Councillor Kofa knows more about the structure of government and constitution than most people that have served in the House of Representatives in the past 20 years. However, that has not translated to performance. He's also conducted himself, like a team player on a bad team, right? Just doing everything everyone else does and enabling people to sign bad legislation and then passing legislation in secrecy. I don't think that's going to change. I don't think there were enough people elected to the House who are equally educated and intelligent, but that have a different set of principles and values and ethics that they're bringing to the table. So when you have this balance of people, I think they said Johnson Guaico was voted out as well. Another very educated, very intelligent person that did not stand up for Liberia, that did not stand up for his constituents, went along to get along. He's been replaced. But the people that I see them replacing the people with, in a lot of cases, are not any different. In most cases. So I don't think there's going to be, it's just that, it's more of that our time now. Y'all finna eating enough. Let we come there too and chop our own. As opposed to there being this kind of renaissance and movement towards functioning in the correct capacity that they're supposed to function in. Musa Bilativ, very, very smart guy, but he is from Seclepied, born and raised. I mean, and one of the most successful young people, relatively young, to have come out of Seclepied. Seclepied, it's not like Ganta. It's not like where I'm from. Seclepied did not produce the kind of people that Ganta produced because, it's a little bit more remote. But you can count the giants that came out of Seclepied probably on your one hand. Musa is among them. So it was almost like, of course he's going to win. I don't think Musa is going to do a whole lot to change things, unfortunately. I hope he proves me wrong. Even the process of him getting elected, there was not a whole lot of education about this is what I'm going to do. This is my responsibility. I'm running for office so that I can help to create an atmosphere for corporations to grow, for the economy to grow. My job is to make sure that we generate enough revenue so that the executive can build bridges and fix roads and do better schools. I didn't see him doing that education in his community where he grew up. Instead, he took on the role of I'm building bridge. You see, I built my nice house here in Seclepied. He didn't do any of that education. And, so I think he's going to go into office and continue to, usurp the role of the executive like everybody else, instead of doing their job, which is to really pass laws and policies that are going to grow the economy. That's really the role of the legislature. You're picking these people from your communities to send them so that they can create a better atmosphere for the economy to flourish, not for them to pay themselves absorbently and take money from their pocket and give you stuff. And meanwhile, you don't have a job. The legislature actually has a greater burden of creating jobs than even the executive, really, if you think about it. They're the ones that create the atmosphere that make it possible. And we're sending people, what is Senator Mikey talking about? The senator talking about Amara. Amara is on a level with Boyd Childs. What is he going to accomplish? Boyd Childs is his colleague. What are we really doing? We'll see.
So Sam Waller is saying we got a few minutes to go, so we'll just concentrate on the comments here, the last set of comments we have. Sam Waller is saying it's too soon to predict the legislative leadership, and he's saying that the next president will influence that.
Yeah, that's precedent.
Obviously, we saw that happening in 2017 with we are influencing the appointment of chair and what's his name?
If we have wins, it's pretty simple. Chair will retain his position. Funati will step up one, into the speakership. I can take
if Chimos is defeated.
If Chimos is defeated, yes, Funati will take his place, which should be what it is. But if we are losers and we have a boycott presidency, then I believe it's a huge toss-up. It's a very huge toss-up in both houses.
But Mikey, do you think it should be that way though? Do you think? I mean, honestly, the executive really shouldn't be influencing the leadership in the legislature.
Well, right now we're not. I mean, you're talking about coulda, woulda, shoulda, but this is what happened.
If a president wants to have a smooth administration, he better influence it. And I mean, maybe it shouldn't be that way, but that is the reality of the situation.
This is politics at play.
If he wants to get those things passed, and he wants his policy, if President Boyka wants to change Liberia and get those things passed and put in tough laws for corruption and other things, and maybe reduce the term of the presidents and the vice president and the legislature, the Senate that we are talking about. If you want to reduce those huge salaries of legislators, he better have influence on who's the speaker and who is the pro temp, or else he will have 6 years of frustration and probably lose his next term. I mean, that's just the reality.
But I don't think their interest, any of the candidates, I didn't hear them speak about reducing the presidential term. I mean, that's not their interest. I think they're keeping.
We have said that, right?
Yeah, we are dead. We are dead, and he worked towards it, and the opposition did not. And I continue to go back to that because this is something, a relic of the military era. I think a lot of that was influenced by the military junta when that constitution was drawn up, and so 6 years is too long for president. 6 years is too long for members of the House of Representatives. 9 years is extremely long for senators. I mean, like, what are they doing? My goodness, that's where you want to start. To me, that would really, really appeal to me. It's always my prayer every time. We all have, certain things that we worry about. This is the kind of thing that I worry about. I believe that the frequency of election, you're holding these people accountable. You'll be able to hold them accountable just by the frequency of elections alone. So I hope that the new administration will look at it. I do believe, or I do still think highly, that there will be a new administration when this is all said and done.
So Hamilton Zilli also says, I think he was referring to Kohu. So are you telling us that Musa Belete deserves to win the seat because of his development? On what basis?
I don't think you were talking to me. I didn't say that.
Maybe you were talking to John. On what basis are we to elect representative? And he went on to say, so you are not looking for people with the requisite character. He said, and then. Yeah.
But who,
So
I think he was talking to John. Who is he talking to though?
That's talking to me.
Mr.
I don't
Zilli,
think.
if you can write, for us who you're addressing that to, because I didn't hear anyone say anything like that.
So but that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. So are you, so he's speaking to character rather than.
But here's the thing. Maybe I'll pick that up. So the people of District 7, I hope I'll get that district. I'm getting that district.
Yeah, it's 7.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So number 7 has voted for Musa Belete, and this is so he was able to reach across all kinds of lines here. So Musa, he is very integrated into his community where he came from, and so the fact that he's able to win in that district speaks to how much he will be able to reach across the aisle. I really see him as I don't know if you win it, but I really see him as one of those people coming in who will want to look at the leadership. Probably a speaker, things along those lines, deputy speaker maybe. But I think that he will be, if he wants to, and he has the capacity to reach across the aisle to work across party lines and all kinds of lines to be able to make himself very relevant in the new legislature. And so the caller's point is well taken. But look, what we're here doing now is analyzing after the fact.
Yeah, Mohammed. Actually, Hamilton Zili said he was referring to you.
Yeah, I knew
Mohammed to the question.
I knew that was coming. That's why I jumped on it now. So
Okay.
we're sitting here as they say, Monday morning quarterback. That's what we're sitting here doing. This is after the fact. I mean, once again, I continue to say we're not relitigating those things. Like I was telling my colleague the other day about the coalitions that the Unity Party formed with Prince Johnson and whatnot. We're not litigating those things. We're looking at what is occurring right now. So what is occurring? And that's what your question is about. So if your question was about character, the character of this person, what is the character of this person? Then I will be talking about those things. I will also address those things and put everybody in play now, from Nathaniel McGill, who did not, fight his own case. And I think they should have fought that case to clear their names when they were accused. Mind you, that was an accusation. It was an accusation, and and they buckled, and they should have cleared their names before jumping into this race, and they did not do that. So if we talk about character, we can put in all kinds of people, from Grand Jada to Maryland to Sino County. There's no shortage of individuals who we can call tonight and scrutinize their characters. I mean, look at TJ. Look at TJ, who just got defeated. The young lady who went in there allegedly gave, he was able to take her vehicle, from what the young lady said, and TJ never gave her vehicle back to her, and that is hanging over him now. So hopefully, when he's defeated, this young lady can go back to Liberia and drag him to court because he used his legislative immunity to threaten the judge at the time.
Yeah, I have a good comment here from Sam Weller, but I will keep that for last. All right, as we wind down, we got 8 minutes remaining. Let's wind down on this. Except anybody has something new to introduce. But back to you, Mohammed. Before that, whilst you're thinking about that, it could be a parting comment or whatever it is. But I would say Al Hassan Kane says that Musa has bravery and he is capable of lobbying to be a Speaker of the House. What says you, Mohammed?
Yeah, and as I said, it's what I'm going to go back to. He has the capacity to do that. He has the intellect. He has, the creativity to do such a thing. When he's not being partisan, when he's not supporting his political party, he can reach across all kinds of lines to be able to pull people together. So he's someone that that you should watch out for. I think in that leadership race, I don't know if he gets it, but he is going to make strides towards that.
Thank you. So I would like to combine as we wind down. Again, I'd like to say thanks to Focus on Liberia Management. I also like to say thanks to the panelists for coming on, and thanks to all our supporters and our listeners and viewers, and all these people who took their time to comment on this on our podcast here. As we wind down, I will ask everybody to give a parting comment, but I will do it this way. Okay. Sam Waller writes, when Ghana was faced with this challenge of legislators, of course, in our case, we're talking about the Senate and the pro tem the Senate and the House of Representatives, as we've been discussing. we've been talking about we've been trying to forecast and doing some forecasting about what's the possibility of a House of Speaker of the House and Senate Pro Tem. He's saying, and then we've been complaining about our legislatures as well. So he's saying that when Ghana was faced with this challenge of legislature and justices who failed the country, they leveraged audits and prosecution to quote unquote to clean house, to quote clean house unquote, and reset the table. So in his view, there is hope in Liberia. Based on this statement, we are going for a possible runoff. We are going for runoff, in my opinion, and I think this is being heralded by the panelists here that we're going for a runoff and nobody can pull it off. Which of these candidates is able to do what or introduce what Ghana did to clean house in our legislature? Mix that up with your parting comments. Let me start with my man Ja Blamo here.
Well, I believe that none of those candidates will be able to follow the example of Ghana in the first year. Mm-hmm. And as I said earlier, in every post-war situation, the election always presents a unique challenge. But we do not have a long history of election fraud anymore, and just transfer to power to an incoming president. It's just that our problem in Liberia is there is no equal rights in power sharing. And we cannot claim that we have democracy in Liberia if we have people who lack the basic necessity of life. If we have the counties who can elect their county leaders, if we don't have a balance of power, if the development is seen as a gift from the president, if people are not participant in the noble task of nation building, and they are just spectators, then our democracy is a lie. So we pray that we'll get to the level that the caller talks about, but it will not happen this year. And we pray that this election comes to a actual tie, so that common sense will prevail, so that parties will build coalition, so that we can have a balanced government in Liberia. Because I don't believe that one man can change the problem in Liberia. Thank you.
Ja, with Mr. Blamo, will money play a major role in the second round?
Money will play a major role, but you can look at the candidates. And how much money you think you can pay Gonglo? How much money you can pay Arizona?
No, we're talking about money in running the elections and all that. We got candidates for being a race.
I don't think that a lot of people will sell their vote, the die-hard people. So money will play a role for the people who didn't vote, for the areas that they didn't reach, for the people who made mistakes on their ballot. But in terms of changing votes, I don't see UP people coming to vote for CDC. And I don't see Gonglo selling or selling their voters to someone to. So I think it will only help those people who didn't vote and those people who in the remote areas.
I will pass it on to Sharif. What do you? Which of the candidates going into the second round will leverage audits and prosecution in the Ghana case to clean house? And then, do you think money will play a role in the? How do you think money will play a role in the second round?
Yeah, I hardly agree with Mr. Blamo, but on this one, I am going to go ahead and agree with them. Neither. You have to keep in mind that they have already surrounded themselves with people who have issues. When you look at the Unity Party coalition, it's going to be problematic. They're not going to pursue what what the Ghanaians did. The Liberian version is not coming anytime soon, and you also have to keep in mind that going to the second round, they need coalition. They need to build coalition of these smaller parties, and so it's all kinds of things that come with that. And so I don't think they will have the gravitas to really pursue any sort of not fiscal discipline, but is sort of clean house, like your question, to your question. And so I don't think they do that. Now the factor with money, I thought the other part was, will money play a role in the second round? I think George Weah is going to try to dispense a lot of resources to try to buy votes, to try to buy these smaller parties to his side, because he has a lot of resources. He has a lot of cash, power cash. George Weah is sitting on a large power cash. But I don't think that saves him at the end of the day when it's all said and done.
Michael, same questions.
Okay, so when it comes to the whole analysis with Ghana, I really believe that it can go either way. I really believe it doesn't matter who Liberia chooses, it can go either way. You have an opposition who is promising change, who is hopefully going to be held accountable by the Liberian people if they don't bring change. So we can hope that they can do this audits and the prosecution that is needed. But then you also have George Weah, who is in his second and final term. What does he have to lose? He can surprise all of us and say, you know what? I'm not going to go down in history as this corrupt guy who never accomplished anything and didn't do. You know what? All of you are here. You had your chance 6 years to eat the money you're eating. We're replacing bringing into place people. We're building back those integrity institutions. And I will go out as the president who started this change. It can happen. He has nothing to lose. Will not vote for you again, Chief. He's not running again. So it can happen. It can definitely. But at the same time, it can go the other way. He can. Who say I got nothing to lose. I'm tired eating here. I will continue eating the money here. And this time around, you thought I didn't do anything. Whatever I didn't come and make music and get me your money for the next 6 years. And when you fail me, you'll buy about my grandma used to say. And we'll just go ahead, and we'll ride this out, Or you could have a boycott who comes in with good intentions, but like Mohammed says, surrounds himself with people because he wants to be president. There are going to be deals made. People are going to demand, if you want me to support you in the second round, I want this, I want that, I want the other. And those things have been known to thwart good men and good intentions. So it could go either way, And is money going to play a part? Yes, money is going to play a part. Boyka ain't got money, but Boyka can promise. He can promise. He's that boyfriend. What is it? Better days ahead boyfriend? Yeah, he's that better days ahead boyfriend. If I win, you will get your own, And we are sitting on cash. We can provide cash today. So, it's going to play. We're very hopeful that instead of demanding money, that other opposition candidates and other opposition parties will demand change. Boycott, if you want me to support you, I need some things. I need you to make things clear. Are you going to fight to reduce the terms of legislature, elected terms? Are you going to reduce the budget of the president and the vice president's office? Are you going to, you know what I mean? Some things that we have not heard. Those things will come up, and some opposition leaders, hopefully CPP and Congo are going to demand those things and say, if you want me to support you, I need you to come out with what you are going to do in the first 100 days, first year, something like that will actually hold people accountable. But that's where I stand. We'll see what happens in the coming days, and we'll just pray and hope for peace throughout these times, and that we'll come out of this on the right side of history.
I asked the money part on the backdrop of the international people issuing a press release on the use of public funds in these elections. So I will ask Kou to conclude for us on this the same question.
So Liberia isn't really analogous to Ghana in many ways. We're very small, and even though we take these ethnic stances, we're not really that ethnocentric of a country, right? You've got a lot of interconnectedness going on, and so the issue becomes that if everybody's really cut from the same cloth. If you look at CDC, you see a lot of people that were from Unity Party. Tiawan Gongo served in Unity Party, so did his sister and brother, their administration, I should say. You've got Mayor Bro and Sam Lu and Eugene Nangbe and all of these people that were in the Sirleaf administration, also in the WIA administration. You've got people supporting Cummings like George Wisner and people like that who served in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. Now that, so Liberian people, these political parties are really not very different from one another as far as their composition of membership. It's like, musical chairs. Everybody is friends with everybody. Everybody is, everybody's interconnected. All the hatred and the shouting you see on Facebook, that's for people that are really not inside. The people you see really cussing one another on Facebook, they're not really inside. The people who inside, they all talk to each other, they all sit and have drinks together, they're all friends. So it's not what this perception is. And this is one of the reasons I was always trying to remind newcomers to Liberian politics. Do not group everybody together and cuss them. You'll be cussing yourself. JMB is most likely going to win the election because the citizens have compared WIA's administration and the way it's functioned to the way President Sirleaf conducted herself and her officials. And WIA is performing dismally in the shadow of President Sirleaf. Boykai has huge expectations from the citizens to fill. If he wins this election, he's going to be responsible to make sure that he recruits the best and the brightest, that he does the things that are necessary to not disappoint the population. But most importantly, I think people are looking to Boykai to just stabilize and normalize the society, to put in mechanisms to clean up the trash, put in mechanisms for the children to be able to go to school safely. Just basically, the country's become so desperate that they just want the bleeding to stop. And even if this means that it's a Band-Aid over this mess for now, while we try to raise a future leader, then no problem. But I don't think you're going to have these prosecutions and all of these things that people are looking for. I really don't. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see that happening. And all of the opposition people that are pointing fingers at JMB and saying JMB is getting into these unholy coalitions and stuff. Look at some of the people that were on the ANC ticket for legislature.
So, Kou, am I hearing you to say that Nara, George Weah, and JMB going to the second round, if either of them win, they're not going to be able to clean house, sort of audit prosecutions?
WIA has not even fired, he's never done a reshuffle, he's never fired somebody for corruption. So, no, George Weah is not going to do anything different. Even when his reputation was on the line, that brother moves like a real OG. Like George Weah, if you wanted to get into street talk, George Weah is an OG. The brother is loyal to the streets, and the people that's loyal to him are loyal to the streets. And he does not snitch on anybody. He doesn't do, he's got that street credibility down. We don't need that in the presidency.
Well,
that's a great homeboy to sit and have a drink with, but that's not somebody to be running a country. But with all due respect, I'm a great fan of George Weah, the football star. We all grew up looking at him as a hero. But what I'm saying is, he's taking that street credibility, those street ethics to the presidency. and he doesn't publicly retaliate or shame any of his people for doing anything wrong. You know, that's crazy to me. That is the antithesis of what we need as a leader, for a leader. So, of course, if it's between that and the possibility of Boycott getting there, and at least with Joseph Boycott, he's going to have some level, restore some level of stability, and he's also going to be removing some of these awful ministers, you know, that Leah has appointed. For that alone, if he just changes the cabinet, Liberia will have, you know, a breath of fresh air. So, I mean, it definitely will not be the same situation we're in now with the Boycott presidency. I just don't have this ambition that he's going to come in and just, you know, create a renaissance in Liberia within the first year. I don't think that's possible, except, you know, I mean, we could elect Fidel Castro and that won't happen because we've got too much to deal with in Liberia.
Thank you, Kawu. Thank you to the panelists. At this point, we will, if nobody have anything to say, we'll call it a day. Again, thanks to our listener, to everybody, people who are commenting here continuously. We can look into more comments. We at 2:11 now. So thank you for coming, and we will turn it back to controls. We had a great show, exciting. I'd like to be part of this panel again. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people.